take the oath, please? Thank you.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Please have a seat, Miss Murphy. Yes, Mr. Scott.
May it please you, sir. Could you give your full name, please?
It's DC Paula Murphy.
And if we could have MERP 007786, please. Is this a witness statement you've made for the inquiry?
It is, yes.
And if we could go to page 17. You've signed that on the 4th of August 2025.
Yes.
And are the contents of this statement true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Thank you. DC Murphy, I think you joined the police as a police constable in 2004.
Yes, that's correct.
And you became a detective constable in 2014.
Yes.
You are a PIP 2 detective. Can you
Yeah.
tell us what that means?
Professionalising the investigation programme.
And the 2 is level 2 of
Level
that?
2.
When did you achieve that qualification?
2014.
And is that the course that effectively qualifies you as a detective constable?
Yes.
And in December 2019, am I right, you were stationed at Marsh Lane Police Station?
Yes.
What was your role there?
A DC within level 2 investigations.
And you still work as a detective constable now?
Yes.
We're dealing today with your involvement in the investigation of AR following events at the Range High School on the 11th of December 2019. And your first involvement in that case, I think, was about lunchtime that day.
It was actually just after 4:30 in the afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And just dealing with what you were told about the case at that point, you were told that AR had been arrested at about 9:45 that morning by PC Dodd,
Yes.
who was another Merseyside officer. And that followed PC Dodd and PC Clark being allocated to respond to a 999 call from the Range High School.
Yes.
And that call reported an ex-student causing a disturbance.
Yes.
On arrival, they were met by the head teacher, Mr. McGarry. Mr. McGarry gave PC Dodd an account of AR using a hockey stick to assault another pupil.
Yes.
You described that in paragraph 11 of your, I think, paragraph 11 of PC Dodd's witness statement. You don't need to bring it up, sir, but it's MERP 007527.
Thank you.
And PC Dodd was also told by AR that he had a knife in his rucksack.
Yes.
And he seized that knife as evidence, and it was a kitchen knife.
Yes, that's correct.
PC Clark took an initial account from the pupil who had been attacked by AR,
Yes.
and that pupil said that AR had struck him 3 times with a hockey stick.
Yes.
He had visible red marks to his left arm and pain to the fingers of his right hand.
Yes.
At any stage in your investigation, was there any suggestion that this pupil had a broken arm?
No.
And I think you obtained medical records, so would have been in a position to know had that been the case.
Yes, that's correct.
That pupil, the one who'd been assaulted by AR, told PC Clark there was no reason for AR to attack him.
Yes.
And PC Dodd then arrested AR for assault, occasioning actual bodily harm, for possession of a bladed article on school property, and for possession of an offensive weapon, the hockey stick.
Yes.
AR was conveyed to custody and his detention authorised.
Yes.
And I think officers at the scene took a number of witness statements from those involved.
Yes.
So those were all available to you at around 4:30 that afternoon.
Yes.
I think that included statements from the head teacher, the deputy head teacher, another teacher who'd been involved, the mother of the victim, and also an officer spoke to the mother of the intended victim as well.
Yes, that's correct.
And if we could go to MERP 002919, first page, please. This is effectively the investigation log, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And if we could look at the first entry, I'm just going to ask you to help with some of the terminology. This crime has been scored by Corvus IAM. Is IAM the investigation allocation model?
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
And we can see that it scores 75. Is that out of a total score of 200?
Yes, I believe so.
And we can see the kind of factors that go into that scoring system above. A score of 75 out of 200 means it's suitable for a level 2 investigation.
Yes.
Does that map across to your qualification as a PIP 2 investigator?
Yes.
And so what was your role then as the PIP 2 investigator on this investigation?
But initially it was to review the evidence and interview AR later on that evening.
And I think before you could interview AR, there was an email received from PC Harrison of Lancashire Constabulary.
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
If we can look at that, MERP 002558. So we've looked at this morning in a slightly different form, but we can see that PC Harrison emails I think it's Sergeant Thompson,
Yes.
Sergeant Tara Thompson, who is a custody officer in Merseyside Police.
Yes.
And if we look at the top of that email, please, the details at the top, you can see that PS Thompson forwards it to, I think it's Detective Sergeant Chris Smith,
Yes.
at about 4:42 that afternoon.
Yeah.
Who was Chris Smith?
He was my detective sergeant at the time.
And looking at what the email reveals, it says that there is a history of AR carrying knives into school. It refers to the involvement of Lancashire Social Services. Do you see the reference to Child and Family Wellbeing Service?
Yes.
And it also sets out some details of internet use, logging onto websites at school which involve school mass shootings, and he wants to talk about guns and beheading and seems to have a certain hatred of teachers in particular.
Yes.
And you were told as well that there was Prevent involvement,
Yeah.
conducting background checks and obtaining specific details. First of all, was this helpful information to receive from your neighbouring police force?
Yes, definitely.
Was it also concerning information to receive?
Yes.
And if we could go back to the OEL, so the occurrence inquiry log, MERP 002919, and entry 2, we can see that there's information from that email has been entered onto the investigation log, and there's contact details for both his current school and also for an officer within Prevent, PC Thompson,
Yes.
not to be confused with the PS Thompson who works in Merseyside custody. Am I right that this new information prompted two things? Firstly, a decision to search AR's home address, in particular for electronic devices.
Yes.
And secondly, an intention to get a statement from the Acorn School
Yes.
covering AR's online activities. I'll come to the search in just a moment, but could we go back to your witness statement, MERP 00786 and page 10? And at paragraph 33, you say, as I recall, this statement was never provided. This was because the search history was no longer available.
Yes.
Do you recall how you asked the Acorns about this?
Yes, I called them. I can't recall what date that I made the phone call. I spoke to a teacher and she told me IT had said that the data was no longer available.
There's some evidence available to the inquiry that at least some of AR's search history may in fact have been available. So L3C 001401 for your note, though no need to bring it up for DC Murphy. That was never drawn to your attention?
No.
If that had been drawn to your attention and it revealed any matters of concern, would that have been necessary evidence for your investigation?
If it related to any searches regarding my investigation, then it would have been beneficial, but anything additional would have been referred on.
When you say referred on to whom?
To prevent, just to let them know what information was on the search history.
Can I come back then to the search?
Yes.
The information received from PC Harrison led to a search of 10 Old School Close being directed, formally under Section 18 of PACE by an inspector.
Mm-hmm.
And that search was carried out by Merseyside police officers,
Yes.
including, as it happened, PC Dodd and PC Clark.
Yes.
And there were a number of devices seized from the address, weren't there?
Yes.
I'm not going to ask you to list them off the top of your head. I think what was seized was a desktop tower, a USB stick, an external hard drive, an HP laptop, and a PlayStation 4, all of which were seized by an officer with initials CL, and so given CL/1, 2, 3, and so on exhibit numbers.
Yes.
There was a laptop also seized HCS/1, and there were 2 portable hard drives, IQ/1 and IQ/2. Does that sound
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And as well as those devices from the home address, I think AR's mobile phone, which was a black iPhone, was seized from his possessions in custody as well.
Yes.
And that became, I think, EO/1.
Yes.
And those devices were submitted for examination by Merseyside Police's Digital Forensics Unit.
Yes.
I think the PlayStation was returned and not examined.
Yes. That model didn't store any data, so it was rejected.
And I think one of the hard drives, CL/3, was attributed to another family member, and that also wasn't examined. Does that sound right?
I can't recall that. Sorry.
But all of the other devices were examined by the forensics unit.
Yes.
I think we had disclosed to us this morning details of that search, so it's not something we can bring up on the screen, so it will be disclosed in due course. But have you seen that document?
I have, yes.
Is it right that the fact that AR had been searching for school shootings and beheadings was flagged to the forensics unit,
Yes.
as well as the details of the offence for which he'd been arrested?
That's correct, yeah.
And they carried out searches on the devices for beheading and for shooting, so mirroring the kind of searches that AR was said to have been carrying out at school.
Yes.
It was some time, I think, before you got the results of those searches. We will come back to it,
Okay.
but just to complete the point, ultimately they came back with nothing of relevance being found.
That's correct.
Can I turn then to some other events while AR was in custody on the 11th of December? And as I say, I'll come back to devices and what happened with them shortly. He was assessed in custody by Stephanie Halloran of the Criminal Justice Liaison and Diversion Team.
Yes.
What's their role?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I don't have any involvement in that process.
If I summarise it as they provide a mental health presence within custody suites,
Yes.
is that does that match
Yes.
your understanding? I'm sure there's more to it than that, but as an outline.
Yes.
Could we have MERP 002881 up, please? This is a note that Ms Halloran produced. Would you have seen this note at the time?
I don't recall seeing it on the 11th.
Would you have seen it at some point in your
Yes, I have
investigation?
seen it at some point, but I can't recall when.
And just picking some of the details from it, if we could enlarge the large block of text towards the bottom of the page. Thank you. It sets out what AR has said to Ms Halloran about the attack. It says, AR reports that he wouldn't have felt sad if he hurt him being his intended victim. He reports not planning to use the knife, but states that he would have if the hockey stick did not work. States he'd wrapped tissue paper around the handle to get a better grip. AR was asked if he was planning on killing the student, and he replied, I did want to kill him, but I don't think I would. Ideally, I wish I did it, but they were in assembly, so it wouldn't have happened. He was clear this was revenge. And then, in terms of why he assaulted his actual victim, slightly further down that page, I asked if the male he'd assaulted was involved in the original bullying, and AR stated he was not. When asked why he had assaulted him, AR responded by saying, the head teacher and someone else was chasing me, and I'm not going to get taken to the police station for nothing, so I thought I would hit him. AR reports that he liked the student he hit and had never had any problems with this boy. Perhaps unsurprisingly, Ms Halloran took the view that AR had limited understanding of the consequences of his actions.
Yes.
She thought there was a lack of empathy and remorse. And on page 3, in the risk assessment, she took the view that there was a medium risk of harm to others. Did this assessment increase your concern over the risks posed to others by AR?
I can't recall seeing it at the time, sorry.
Just dealing with some other matters in custody,
Okay.
I think a safeguarding referral was made about AR by PC Dodd,
Yes.
and that was then passed to Lancashire Constabulary, who in turn passed it to the Lancashire MASH.
I believe so, yes.
And I think there were similar referrals for the intended and actual victims.
Yes.
If we could have MERP 002566, page 2. What we can see here is contact between DS Smith and Sue Scotland in Lancashire County Council's emergency duty team.
Yes.
Is that a social services team?
Yes.
And if we go to the first page, please. We can see that Ms Scotland puts DS Smith in contact with Lucy Parkinson of the early help team, and then in turn that comes to you the next day and you're put in touch. Lucy is the key worker for AR.
Yes.
And then if we could look to page 15 of this, please. we can see that additionally, Ms Scotland shares information with DS Smith about recent social services involvement with AR and his family.
Yes.
What was the relevance of that to your criminal investigation?
I can't recall. Do you mean on the 11th?
Yes.
I can't recall seeing this email on the 11th. So would it be sort of dealing with preparing for the interview and stuff? I can't recall seeing that on the 11th.
Was that sort of wider context directly relevant to your criminal investigation, or was it more in the way of helpful background?
I think it was just the wider safeguarding concerns.
And what was your role as investigating officer in handling those wider safeguarding concerns?
I think it'd be to do the necessary referrals and
I think AR, it came a point where he was bailed overnight on the 11th. Essentially, it had become too late to interview him because of the need for the searches to be carried out and also bearing in mind his age.
yes.
I think there were some checks carried out as to whether he could return safely home, and Lancashire Social Services made clear that they were content with that.
Yes.
And he was released on bail conditions, which, if I can summarise them, not to go within 400 metres of the Range High School, not to contact directly or indirectly either his actual or his intended victims,
Yes.
and not to attend the Acorn Centre until it was approved by social services or, I suspect, the police.
Yes.
Who was responsible for setting those as bail conditions?
I think we would have all had some involvement along with supervision as well, but I can't recall exactly.
Are those bail conditions essentially designed, first of all, to prevent further offending?
Yes.
He's offended at the Range, so let's keep him away from the Range. There's also an element of stopping him interfering with any investigation
Yes.
by speaking to actual or intended victim. And not attending the Acorn Centre. Do you recall what the thinking was about that?
I think DS Smith had received a phone call to say that they didn't wish for him to attend until there'd been a risk assessment completed. So we added that as an additional bail condition on the 12th.
So that was down to the risk that they perceived of him committing further offences if he attended the Range. Sorry, if he attended Acorns.
Acorns, yeah.
Thank you. He then returned to custody to answer his bail the following day,
Yes.
the 12th of December now. And I think he was accompanied by his mother, Ms Muzayire,
Yes.
and he was interviewed under caution
Yes.
by you.
Yes.
And I think he gave a prepared statement in response to that. Could we have that MERT 000186, page 17? He alleged in that he'd been bullied by a named individual at Range High School. He says he got to the school and saw someone else, and he admitted taking out the hockey stick and striking that other person 2 or 3 times. He said, I've hit the victim because I couldn't see the target. Filling in the names that we've redacted there. And he accepts he had a knife, but says, I didn't take it out, and the teacher has mistaken my words when he says I told him I was there to kill target. I just meant I was going to assault him because he used to bully me. In terms of the admissions he's made there, is it fair to say that the evidence for those points was overwhelming?
Yes.
And the last sentence isn't a denial that he said he was there to kill his target, but it's an attempt to downplay what it means, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's not consistent with what AR had said to Miss Halloran. I did want to kill him, but I don't think I would. Ideally, I wish I did it, is it? quite understandably, you had rather more questions for him than that. Could we look at MERP 002882 on page 8, please? This, I think, is part of the submission that you ultimately provided to the Crown Prosecution Service.
Yes.
But it's a list of the questions that you asked AR. I'm not going to go through all of them.
Okay.
But you explored what he said about using the knife. You explored his internet usage.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he gave a no comment, and of course the attack itself. He gave a no comment interview throughout.
Yes, that's correct.
Were there any moments when he behaved inappropriately in that interview?
Yes, a number of times.
In what way?
Just kept laughing at some of the questions. I can't recall which questions now, but he was challenged as to why he was laughing. It was just inappropriate.
Did you get a sense of how his mother was responding to these serious allegations you were trying to explore with him?
She didn't challenge him at all, and I do remember thinking at the time, I just thought that was a bit strange. I think I would challenge if it was my son or daughter behaving that way.
After the interview, I think AR was released again on bail.
Yes.
With the same conditions.
Yes.
And then if we could look at MERP 002566 and page 18. DS Smith then sends out an update to all agencies who've expressed an interest in what is going on with AR. You can see, for example, that goes to Ms Parkinson of Child, Family and Wellbeing Service, to Officer B in CTP, to PC Harrison in Lancashire Constabulary, as well as to you as the investigating officer.
Yes.
And if we could look at page 4 of this, please. Slightly earlier that afternoon, this is the request from Officer B to be kept informed. He says, "Thank you for the update in relation to AR. It's an earlier update. I've picked the job up as this came as a prevent referral for our assessment. Been sent for their checks. Please can you update me with the outcome and pass my details to the OIC in relation to the computer/mobile seizures." So it appears that CTP are aware that devices have been seized and they've expressed an interest in the outcome of those
Yes.
searches. Could we look, please, to your witness statement? In fact, could we look at MERP 002919 on page 6, entry 25? Could we have entry 25 just enlarged, please? Thank you. This is an entry that you made on the investigation log on the 16th of December, where you record contact with the victim's mother.
Yes.
And she tells you about talk at school stating that AR had a list which contained the names of 3 children he wished to target, the names being 2 named pupils at the school and an unknown female.
Yes.
You've explained that no such list has been brought to my attention. She states that another pupil's mum is very concerned about this information. Would that have been a telephone call that you...
It was a telephone call, yes.
Were you ever provided with a copy of such a list?
No.
Had anything been found on AR when he was arrested?
No.
Anything found in the search of the home address?
No.
As far as you were concerned, was this anything more than local rumour?
No.
If there had been any evidence of this, it would have been relevant to your investigation, wouldn't it?
Yes.
And it would have been something of concern in terms of the risk that AR posed to others?
Yes.
After the attack in July 2024, there were some suggestions that it was AR's mother who had mentioned a hit list when she attended his interview under caution. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I've been made aware of it since the investigation.
Did that happen?
No.
So I wonder if now is a convenient moment for just a 5-minute break.
Certainly. I'll rise for 5 minutes. Yes,
Thank you, sir. You were invited to a strategy meeting about AR for the 17th of December 2019.
Yes, that's correct.
I think you can't recall how you came to be invited.
No.
And the invitation that we've seen previously, Sir Lank 4054, doesn't seem to have gone to you directly, but somebody at some point must have made you aware that this meeting was taking place.
Yes.
And invited you to attend. Was it regular for you to be invited to these sorts of meetings?
No.
Did you have any role in deciding who else was to be invited?
No.
What sort of steps did you take to prepare to attend this meeting?
I felt I was pretty prepared because I'd only just dealt with AR a couple of days before.
If we could have Lank 504 up, please. DC Murphy, these are the minutes of this meeting. Mm-hmm. I think you've reviewed these in preparing for today, yes. But you didn't receive these at the time.
No.
If we could go to page 2, please. We can see who else was there. From policing, we have Sergeant Bramall and PC Harrison from the Community Safety Team in Lancashire Constabulary. And we also have Carmen Thompson. It says their early action team, but in fact she was from Prevent, wasn't she?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
And we can also see that we have Stephanie Halloran, the mental health practitioner who had seen AR in custody, whose note we've looked at.
Yes.
Did her presence there reassure you that there was someone with a foot in both the mental health and the criminal justice worlds present?
Yes.
And what was your role at the meeting?
Just to give an update on the investigation and what had taken place and obviously the bail conditions.
And if we could look to page 3, please, bottom of page 3, we can see the update that you've given there. Advised that he's been arrested and bailed, and you set out the bail conditions, you set out the prepared statement. If we go over to the top of page 4, and the no comment interview. You say there he denied researching violent acts on the internet.
Yes.
You recall that now?
Yes.
So it wasn't a wholly no comment interview, there was in fact one point he denied?
Yes, that's correct, yes.
And you set out your concerns about inappropriate behaviour in the interview and the fact that there wasn't any challenge from his mother, and you've told us about those.
Yes.
But you shared those with that meeting.
Yes.
And you told the meeting about the search of his house and the devices, bail conditions, and you said a time frame for the analysis of the devices, about 3 months.
Yes.
Was that a normal sort of time frame
Yeah.
for device review? And then you also set out what has been found out from the intended target, that he knows of AR but has never had any issues with him, and also the fact that AR had contacted his intended target's sister the day before
Yes.
and called her something nasty via Instagram. And there's then updates from the various other agencies, including Ms Halloran. The one I want to look at is from PC Thompson. It's on page 6. Bottom of the page, bottom 2 paragraphs. If they could be enlarged, please. Thank you. Carmen Thompson from Prevent identified that she will be completing an assessment regarding AR and considering if a referral to Channel programme would be appropriate for him. What did you understand the role of Prevent to be at this stage?
I can't recall. I'm not sure.
And if we could look at the bottom of page 6, please. In fact, sorry, it was that bit that we had already. It was agreed that there is a risk of reoffending from AR. Did you agree with that?
Definitely had the potential to reoffend, yes.
And if we can go over the page to top of page 7. The plan is essentially to reconvene in January following further inquiries by Prevent, by Children's Social Care and by Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services, and of course for your investigation to continue its course.
Yes.
Apart from the fact that you had bail conditions on AR, did you think that you or Merseyside Police generally had a role in managing the risk AR posed to others?
No, not at that point. I think just managing the bail.
Given the information that was shared at that meeting and that you had become aware of through your investigation, how concerned were you about that risk to others?
It was concerning.
What was there in place to address that concern?
With regards to other people.
Yes.
Sorry, can you ask the question again?
Yes. You said that the risk he posed to others was concerning. Mm-hmm. What was in place to address those concerns?
Well, we had the bail conditions. Obviously, we'd spoken to the victims as well, who informed us they didn't believe AR knew where they lived. Because if he did, then we would have put treaters urgent markers on their home addresses and stuff. But so it was just linking in with the victims. And
what about the wider risk to non-identified victims? Was that your role to think about, or was that for some of these other agencies?
yeah, I don't recall thinking about that at the time.
I've been asked to explore whether you think you had too much of a focus on the criminal investigation and not enough on the wider management of risk. What would you say to that?
I disagree with that. Can
we look very briefly at a different note of this meeting? It's one by PC Thompson, CTP NW 30132. And if we could look at the second page of that, please. Same meeting, DC Murphy, different person making a note.
Yes.
And it's, in some respects, a slightly fuller note. At the top of the page, we can see that you've passed on to the meeting what the victim's mother had said about the list of targets.
Yes.
And again, you've clearly said there it was the victim's mother who said that.
Yes.
And we can also see that you seem to have passed on what AR had said to Liam, a PC from Merseyside. Can we take it that that must have been PC Dodd?
Yes, I can't recall saying that, but yeah, it would have been PC Dodd.
That he, that's AR, had taken the hockey stick to hit the victim with, and that he was going to use the knife to finish him off, and that he was not bothered about the prison sentence. You say you can't remember saying that. Do you remember being aware of that?
No.
Obviously, that's in stark contrast to what AR had admitted in his prepared statement, saying he had no intention to use the knife and no intention to kill.
Yes.
I think you were invited to the follow-up strategy meeting on the 6th of January 2020 at MERP 002571, please. Bottom of the page, bottom of page 1. So the bottom of the page is the invitation to you to attend the next meeting.
Yes.
And then the top of the page, you flag, I think, to DS Smith and DS McDermott that you're on annual leave that
Yes.
day. And I think it was arranged that DS Haffenden, is that the same as DS McDermott?
It is, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would attend instead.
That's correct.
Did you do any sort of handover to DS Haffenden?
Can't recall, but she did have quite a lot of involvement here, and DS Smith at the beginning, so she would have known a lot of the detail regarding the investigation.
And I think she did attend that meeting, and there were no actions from Merseyside Police
correct, yes.
coming out of it. Could we look at CTP NW 509, please? Again, this is a note of that meeting by counter-terrorism police. And looking at the update at the bottom paragraph, the investigation in relation to the recent assault is still ongoing with Merseyside Police and awaiting a CPS decision. The devices are being examined. The school internet history is also being looked at by Merseyside Police. They will update accordingly with any concerns found. We'll come to the devices, and we know that there were no concerns found on those. Do you think that can be right about the school internet history?
If what, sorry?
Do you think if that can be right about the? Do you think that can be right about the school internet history?
I don't know what you mean, sorry.
Well, it says the school internet history is also being looked at by Merseyside Police.
Yes. No, that wasn't correct. It was my, an action for me was to call the school and obtain that internet history. But that makes it sound like I've got it and I didn't have it.
Do you know whether you'd been told by this point that it wasn't available?
January, I'm not sure, to be honest.
So it might be that at this point you were still hoping to get it.
Yes, that's correct.
It might be that DS Haffenden has not been updated that it isn't available.
Yes.
Or it might be a misunderstanding or miscommunication that you've tried to get it and you haven't been able to.
Yes.
Could we look at LCC 001462, please? This is an invitation to the third multi-agency meeting that was due to take place on the 4th of March. It wasn't sent to you?
No.
And I think the only Merseyside address it was sent to is to an officer who works in a wholly different team.
That's correct.
You say in your statement at paragraph 37 that it might be that this is a mistranscription of DS Haffenden's email address, but you can't say for sure.
Yes, that's correct.
But the effect of this is that nobody from Merpol went to the meeting on the 4th of March 2020.
Yes, correct.
Your investigation, though, continued. I think various steps. You obtained medical records for the victim, as we've touched on already.
Yes.
You took steps to obtain further CCTV and to convey that to the CPS.
Yes.
That, I think, required some back and forth between the school and the visual evidence unit.
Yes.
In due course, you obtained a charging decision from the CPS for AR on the 28th of January.
Yes.
Could we go back, please, to MERP 002882? And page 2, please. Is this effectively the documentation that you provide to the CPS requesting a decision on charge?
Yes.
This text on this screen, I think probably not filled out by you, but by an evidential gatekeeper of some sort. Is that fair?
Police decision maker.
Police decision maker, thank you. So they quality assure the case and make sure that it's fit to go to the CPS before it goes off to them.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And so looking at the section marked case analysis at the middle of the page, it identifies in October 2019, suspect AR was permanently excluded as he attended school with a knife and expressed his intention to use it. It then says this matter was not reported to police. I think we've heard that it was reported to Lancashire Constabulary.
Mm-hmm.
That's either an error or you hadn't been made aware of that.
I don't think we've been made aware of it. It hadn't been reported to Merseyside Police. I think maybe that's what it's referring to.
So we should perhaps read Merseyside Police in there.
Yeah.
But the fact that he had attended school with a knife in 2019 was obviously known to you, not least from the strategy meeting that you'd attended. And likewise, the intention that he'd expressed to use it.
Yes.
And that was part of the material that was then provided to the Crown Prosecution Service.
Yes.
And the CPS then approved the charges that had been requested.
Yeah.
And when AR answered bail on the 2nd of February, he was duly charged with assault occasioning actual bodily harm, possession of a bladed article, and possession of an offensive weapon. In the charge documents, I think the offensive weapon is referred to as a baseball bat.
That's correct, yes.
That seems to be an error that's crept in somewhere along the line, because that was the hockey stick, wasn't it?
Yes. And can I just say, it was the 4th of February, I think,
Thank you.
when he came for charge.
And if we could go back to MERP 002919, page 10. Uh, 64 entries 64 and 65. We can see that you update PC Harrison from Lancashire Constabulary and also Anna Jameson in Lancashire Children's Social Care.
Yes.
In due course, AR pleaded guilty to all 3 offences on his first appearance at the Youth Court. I'm going to say 19th of February, but you may know better than me.
Yeah, that's right.
And he had a referral order imposed for 10 months.
Yes.
Can you help us just in outline with your understanding of a referral order?
I don't know off the top of my head, sorry.
If it helps, you say a little bit about it at paragraph 54 of your witness statement on page 14.
So it's issued to young offenders, typically between 10 and 17, who've pleaded guilty to a first-time offence, It's in a way of addressing their offending behaviour to prevent future criminal activity through a contract with a referral order panel. They typically last between 3 and 12 months.
Thank you. We'll hear more about them from others.
Okay.
By the point of his charge and indeed his conviction, you hadn't got the results of those electronic device searches, had you? Were those results not potentially important for your investigation?
Potentially. But I think we were keen to sort of get it to CPS and get a charge.
So they might be helpful, but they weren't necessary.
Yes, I think we did have all the necessary evidence we needed to get him charged.
And I think if we can look at the next entry in here, entry 66 on the same page. It was the 4th of March that you're updated that 6 of the devices that you've submitted are negative for data relating to the investigation.
Yes.
And that's all the devices you'd submitted, bar one, which was the iPhone.
Yes.
And we can see in entry 67, E001, that's the iPhone, currently subject to PIN decryption, 68 years left in current strategy. Perhaps unsurprisingly, a decision was taken that wasn't proportionate.
Yes, correct.
So ultimately, the iPhone was never decrypted and its contents never accessed.
No.
Did you think about providing AR with a notice under section 49 of RIPA to compel him to decrypt the device?
I didn't consider it at the time, but I should have considered it.
Would that have been a typical step to take in this sort of investigation?
To issue an advisory notice, I don't know whether it would have met the threshold for a section 49 notice, but regardless, I still should have considered it.
In other words, you could perhaps have pushed him a little bit harder.
Yes.
But it might not have met the threshold to actually compel him and effectively make him subject to criminal sanction
Yes.
for not providing the decryption.
Yes.
As we've touched on, the devices obviously weren't just being examined for your investigation, but also because of the information that was of interest to prevent. After the end of a criminal investigation, is there a power for the police to keep hold of and further interrogate devices?
No.
And I think the data that was downloaded from the devices, or any data that was downloaded from the devices, wasn't retained beyond March 2020 by the forensics unit.
Yeah.
The devices themselves were, after a little bit of back and forth over the logistics and bearing in mind that this was now at the early stages of the pandemic,
Yes.
the devices were returned to AR's family by mid-May 2020.
Yes.
Did you ever update Prevent, or CTP, about the fact that the devices mostly had come back negative, but you hadn't been able to access one?
I didn't.
And I appreciate it was a nothing interesting response. Would it have been good practice to let CTP know you had an interest in this, we've taken it as far as we can, there's nothing further for you?
Yes.
And lastly, from me, DC Murphy, from your perspective, after AR's behaviour, violent behaviour, on the 11th of December was reported to Merseyside, which agency was responsible for assessing and addressing the risk he posed to others?
I think we all had a responsibility in addressing it. I don't think any one agency had the overall control of it.
Within policing, who was responsible for managing that risk?
I'm not sure.
Just looking to my left, I think those are all the questions, sir, unless you have any for DC Murphy.
If you were all responsible for assessing the risk and no one in particular was responsible for assessing the risk, isn't there a danger that nothing really gets assessed at all and nobody takes responsibility?
I think there is a danger of that, yes.
Thank you very much for your evidence, Ms Murphy. You're now free to go.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm in your hands, Mr Goss.
I think if I could ask you just to rise for 5 minutes, and Mr Moss is taking the next witness.
Yes, in fact, we'll be slightly more merciful. 10 minutes. I'll sit again at 10 past.
Grateful, sir.
Just stand to read the affirmation.
Could you stand for a moment, officer?
Yes, go for it.
Thanks.
I do solemnly, sincerely and truly declare and affirm that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Grand, thank you very much. Have a seat. Yes, Mr Moss.
Thank you, sir. Just start by giving us your full name, if you would.
David Fairclough.
Thank you. We can have on screen, please, Lank 30273. You see, PC Fairclough, that this is the helpful and detailed statement that you provided to this inquiry on the 7th of August, I think, of this year. Is that right?
Yes,
And is that statement true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
it is.
You'll be aware that you gave 2 previous statements, police statements. Could we have the first of them, please? Lank 4019. And can you just confirm that that's the first police statement that you provided on, I think it was the 23rd of August 2024?
It is.
You'll be well familiar with the declaration, and you were giving a declaration that you understood that the contents were true to the best of your knowledge and belief for that statement also?
Yes.
Thank you. And then could we have also, please, Lank 4023. You provided a further statement for police purposes on the 28th of November 2024, I think, with a similar declaration.
Yes.
Thank you. I want to just get you to explain a little bit about your background. Is it right, PC Fairclough, that you joined Lancashire Constabulary originally, was it as a police community support officer?
Yes.
And was that back in January of 2018?
Yes.
Just say we've got a feel for it. I think you left school as a 16-year-old. I think you did 2 stints with Tesco's, 1 stint with Amazon.
Yes.
And during the course of that part of your career, I think you studied for a degree in sport and exercise science at Edge Hill University.
Yes.
And a result of that, is it right that you were able, when you wanted to apply to be a police constable, you were able to join under the degree holder entry programme?
That's correct, yes.
I think part of the first cohort in Lancashire going through that method of...
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. So you joined initially as a PCSO, and was it in March 2020 that you applied to become a police officer?
I became a police officer in March
became a police
2020.
officer.
Yes.
And you would have had a 2-year probationary period,
Yes.
and that would have come to an end, is this right, at the very end of March
Yeah.
of 2022?
Yes.
And so I'm going to ask you questions, as you will know, about the incident in the middle of March. You were coming right towards the end of your 2-year probationary period. Is that fair?
Yes.
Thank you. During the course of your training, you also completed the diploma in policing. Is that right?
Yes.
You have set out, we don't perhaps need to have it open, but you've set out in your statement, so for your note paragraphs 117 to 121, that there were some limitations on the training you received simply due to the COVID pandemic.
Yes. There was.
Just tell us in outline what the limitations were.
The majority of our training was done via Microsoft Teams, and this was done from our home address. The only exceptions that I can remember were our officer safety training and our first aid. That was done in person in small groups at force headquarters.
It's inevitable that particularly as a probationary officer, you would have come across not just this, but a number of incidents, I'm sure, that were unexpected or unusual for you. It may be hard for you to comment, but do you think that the limitations on your training had any impact once you were out on the ground as a probationary officer?
I would say on confidence levels, maybe. I've got the benefit of being able to compare it to my PCSO training, which was done in person at headquarters.
So confidence, principally?
Yes.
Did it have any impact on the extent of your knowledge? We're exploring in this inquiry whether referrals were made or should have been made, or repeat referrals should have been made to the community safety team, to the early action team, and to the violence reduction network. In March 22, were you aware of those?
I'd heard of the early action team. I'd never heard of the violence reduction team. And what was the third one, sorry?
The community safety team.
Yes, never heard of them.
You'd not heard of them?
No.
And why do you think that was?
I think as an immediate response officer, the training you're given is very specific to the immediate answering 999 calls, etc., not for bigger term, long-term safeguarding.
Again, it may be difficult for you to answer this, but do you think that that was something you had been told about and had missed? Or do you think that you may not have been the only one of your cohort and your experience who didn't know about those things?
I certainly can't recall hearing about them things.
On any view, PC Fairclough, when I'm going to ask you detailed questions about what happened with the incident with AR in relation to March, it's very difficult to avoid using hindsight,
Yes.
knowing what we now do about AR. Trying not to use hindsight, just dealing with your training, you mentioned confidence. Do you think that the restrictions on your training had any effect on your ability to make judgment calls?
I didn't know about the referrals that I could have made that you just mentioned, but other than that, no.
Thank you. You've mentioned training as a response officer, and I think working as a response officer was the role that you were involved in March 22. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
Thank you. Are you still with Lancashire Constabulary now?
I am, yes.
And what role do you do now?
I'm a neighbourhood officer now.
Thank you. I want to go on then to look at the 17th of March incident, and can we start with how you were allocated to that? You were in a marked police car, I think, that morning?
Yes.
Were you single crewed or were you crewed with somebody else?
I was single crewed.
And you tell us in your statement, paragraph 7 onwards at page 2, that at about 11:44, is this right, that you were allocated to the report of a missing child in Banks?
I think I actually seen the incident on my police Samsung, so I shouted up and volunteered to attend.
Thank you. You tell us that the incident was given a grade 2. What did that mean in practice? What was the target attendance time?
So within 1 hour, it means there's some risk, but it doesn't warrant a 999 call.
And is the requirement to seek to attend within 1 hour?
Yes.
Thank you. In paragraph 7, we just can enlarge that, please, Sarah. helpfully, you've set out, so we don't need to turn them up. But sir, for your note, the transcript can be found at Lanc 30419.
Thank you.
Set out the radio calls at this stage, and we see, would you be good enough to look at grade 2 MFH, missing from home?
Yes, that was actually shouted up for a colleague. I was using the call sign Sierra Bravo Car 9 and the call operator asked Sierra Bravo 48.
A little bit slower.
Sorry. So I was using Sierra Bravo Car 9.
Yeah.
For reasons unknown to myself, the operator has then asked Sierra Bravo 48 if they could attend, and they have informed the control room that I was actually already dealing with that incident.
Okay. So I was going to come on to this, but when we see, I believe Car 9 is going to have a look at that. That, I think, is you, Car 9.
I am Car 9, yes.
We don't need the full details of your call sign, but Car 9 will do for our purposes. And there's also a reference, has it been passed to Merseyside as well, in case he's walked in that direction? It looks like the controller says, no, good shout, I will do that now. So I don't think that's you, but that's an early indication of this being passed to Merseyside as well.
Yes.
Because of how close to the police force boundary Banks in Lancashire is.
Yes.
Thank you. And once you were assigned to this, did you understand that the report had been made by AR's mother?
I knew it was a parent, I can't recall which.
Thank you. And you attended the home address in response to this call?
Yes.
Just help us, before we get to the detail in AR's case and the interaction you had with AR's parents, what's the standard practice and what's the purpose of visiting the home address? It may seem obvious to you, but can you just explain what the standard practice would be, why you're visiting the home?
Yeah, it's to collect any key details that we may need. It will help us assess the risk of the person who's gone missing. We have different risk grades, and it also allows us to do a search of the home address and look for any indications that have been made in preparation for the missing from home leaving.
So you're looking, amongst other things, for any signs of preparation and presumably any clues as to where they may have gone?
Yes.
Now, when you got to the home, was it first to AR's mother that you were speaking?
I believe it was.
Thank you. You've made some entries about that in your police notebook. And two, I think, of the earlier ones. Can we look at the first one? It's Lanc 4027. So AR, his date of birth. Important, of course, to get a physical description and what they're wearing for very obvious reasons with a missing person.
Yes.
But then you start to get into some background. So early on, you've got Range High School expelled, yes?
Yes.
Going to Acorns, and then January 2022, the Range High School. Can you help in relation to what you think all of that referred to?
The Range High School was an account that I was given by mother about a previous incident that had happened there. The Acorns was a school in Ormskirk that he was in the process of leaving and starting a new school. And I believe the January 22 incident, I can't recall fully what that means, the January 22, the Range High School.
Thank you. We know, in fact, that the incidents at the Range High School had been earlier than that, but perhaps we'll come on to that. Yeah. And then if we look at the next entry, Lanc 4028, again, your pocket notebook entry. No friends, no family. Does the no family there refer to no extended family that you would have gone to?
Yes.
Sertraline, autism, ADHA is what it says. Presumably that's all short note form of information that you're getting from AR's mother?
Yes, so at that point I would have been building up my risk assessment, and that's what I've noted down at the time, yes.
and small knife. You deal with it in your statement, but just tell us how that came up.
So the mother disclosed, I can't recall whether I'd already seen it on the instant log, but I do remember the mother recalling that she believes he had a small knife in his possession that was missing from the kitchen that morning.
Thank you. We'll perhaps come back to the sequencing of how that information arose. Now, another document that you have is Lank 4082. We can have that on the screen, please. And we see at the top that this is a primary offence, MFH, other missing child. And would this be known generally as a missing from home report?
It would.
We can see under investigation summary, asterisk, asterisk, found, asterisk, asterisk. So clearly that would have been written later in the day. When would you first have started entering this information?
So I believe I would have started it at the home address, and that's why I've got so many pocket notebook entries. So whenever you leave the screen that you're writing your entries on, when you come back into it, it will start a new pocket notebook entry, hence why I've got so many. And I would have updated this as and when the information was given to me.
Thank you. So just help us to understand the realities. What physically are you, what device are you using to generate this report?
It's a Samsung mobile phone, but it has equipment on that we would use as police officers. We call it Pronto.
Thank you. So we can see again the physical description that you've mentioned there. You've recorded information about AR's neurodiversity and his needs. Is that right?
Yes.
Again, the source of that, presumably AR's mother.
Yes.
You've recorded information that AR was meant to be starting a new school, that he was meant to be meeting his new teachers and have a tour of the school today. He's gone missing before this meeting. Again, leaving hindsight to one side, what was your assessment of the significance of that information at the time?
So his mother had told me he did not like change. He was due to meet, I believe it was 2 new teachers that day. I thought at that time he's possibly just left the house in a bit of fear to get away for a couple of hours.
So to you at the time, would it appear that there would have been a situational aspect of significance? In other words, something was meant to be happening that day that AR may have found difficult, that may have explained him, on the face of it, running away?
Yes.
You see the sertraline medication referred to as well, and not liking crowded places, is that right?
Yes.
And then if we can just leave this on screen for a moment, but you say in paragraph 15 of your statement that you had read on the incident log that AR had previously attended his old high school with a knife and attacked another student. Is that right?
Yes.
You say in your statement that AR's mother stated he had done this because he believed he was being bullied. Is that right?
Yes.
And it was at that stage, you go on in your statement, say AR's mother's then disclosed that AR may be in possession of a knife, as she had noticed one missing from her kitchen.
Yes.
So the sequence, at least according to your statement to the inquiry, is you have established from the log the information about a previous attack. Mother has then given some explanation about that, and then Mother has disclosed the information that AR may be in possession of a knife because there's one missing.
Yes.
So on the face of your account in your statement to the inquiry, that wasn't volunteered straight away by AR's mother, but arose after you'd raised the issue of what had happened previously at his old school. Would that be fair?
Yes.
I think that detail doesn't appear, if you just cast your eye, I'm not going to read it all out to prove a negative, but I think that level of detail doesn't appear in your missing from home report. Would that be fair?
Yes.
But you tell us that you were aware of it from the incident log and then from the questioning that you had carried out of AR's mother.
Yes, I think the mother divulged more information as I probed her further.
Thank you. If that could come down from the screen for a moment. So we've looked at the police notebook entries that you're making, and we've looked at the missing from home report. We go to the incident log, please, which is Lanc 4045. And the text is just a wee bit small on this, but could we look at page 7, please? Thank you. And could we just have the last few lines highlighted right at the bottom of the page, see if we can make those a bit bigger. The reference on the incident log referred to AR having previously been bullied at school, which resulted in him taking a knife into school. We'll perhaps come on to more detail about this a little bit later, but were you aware that that had given rise to AR being convicted of offences?
Not at that time.
Did you become aware of that later?
After I left the home address and I was sat in my patrol vehicle finishing off the report, I did, yes.
Thank you. So other than AR's mother telling you that AR had done this because he believed he was being bullied, did she tell you anything more about the incident at the Range High School?
I recall somebody being attacked, which wasn't the AR's intended target.
Were you aware that it involved both a hockey stick and a knife being carried?
I don't recall being aware of both.
Thank you. If we could go back, please, to Lanc 82, so Lanc 4082, the missing from home report. If the relevant text could just be expanded. You set out relevant information after referring to being found at the Range High School within an hour on a previous occasion, but no further details about that in this record. You say that the range for which AR had left the house is between 8:30 and 11:15, so the time frame in which he may have gone missing?
Yes.
Got a house key with them, and you make a reference there to CCTV cameras. Should we understand that that's probably information, the CCTV cameras, that you completed a bit later?
Yes.
But you do recall a small knife has gone missing from the kitchen. Parents believe but can't confirm that AR has this. Is that right?
Yes.
Was there any discussion at this stage about AR and his access to knives in the home? Anything about AR's family having tried to hide knives from AR, secure knives so that he couldn't take them?
No, not at that time.
Thank you. In addition to this missing from home report, I think you also complete a missing from home risk assessment. Lanc 4083, please. It may be obvious from the title, but just explain what the purpose of this document is.
It helps us assist the grading that we're going to give the missing from home.
Is it intended to deal with the immediate risks of dealing with the incident, or is it looking at the longer term risks, or do you not know?
I would say immediate. I think if you answered yes to some of them questions, it was higher the risk.
Thank you. So we can just have the top half of the page, please. Obvious things about the age, whether there's a reason for the person going missing, and particular risk factors. If we go down to the second half of the page, please. We see if other unlisted factors which the officer or supervisor considers should influence risk assessment. If any of the above risk factors apply, input the details here. And I think you were keen to record that the missing purpose suffers with autism and ADHD and took sertraline. Is that right?
Yes.
If we can go over the page, please. That continues. Parents believe he's gone missing as he does not wish to attend a meeting with his new school teachers. Could be in possession of a small knife which is missing from the kitchen. He has never threatened or attempted self-harm. That last aspect, would you have asked AR's parents about that?
Yes, that was asked directly.
Thank you. You're saying here parents. Did AR's father join the conversation at some stage?
I think it was just the mother.
At this stage?
At that stage.
Thank you. And then risk level medium. Again, it may seem obvious, but the risk is what? The risk to the missing person?
Yes.
The definition that's given here is the risk of harm to the subject is assessed as neither low nor high, where low is unlikely to occur or be minimal, and high is both serious and likely to occur. So at the risk of stating the obvious, it's what sits in between the two, is that right?
Yes.
Did you understand this form to relate in any way to the risk that the missing person might pose to others?
At the time, no.
If I may say so, that was a careful answer. At the time, no. What's your understanding now?
I think with the benefit of experience, 3 years later, when I'm assessing risk, I will look at the wider risk, not just to the missing from home, but potentially other members of the public.
Thank you. It's right to say, and in fairness to you, that in this form at the time, other than what we saw towards the bottom of page 1, other factors, there was nothing on this form directing your attention, was there, specifically to the risk that the missing person might pose to others?
No, it's all tailored to the missing from home.
Do you recall whether or not you consulted your sergeant about this risk grading?
Yes, it's something I still do now. I always consult the sergeant before putting a missing from home on.
How would you have done that?
Radio, but it would have been a private call on radio.
Thank you. So if we have on screen, please, paragraph 74 of your statement, Lanc 30273 at page 17, please, Sarah. Paragraph 74 at the bottom. With all of the information available, I deemed AR to be medium risk. I consulted Sergeant Clark and he agreed with my decision as to medium risk. Is that right?
Yes.
You go on to say that you don't think in any event that assessment of the level of risk affected your response on the day. Why is that?
Lots of inquiries were done immediately. So we touched on before the Ormskirk CCTV operators the council ran. I called them at the scene. They started checking that straight away. I think I had local PCSOs doing an area search, and there was inquiries going on immediately, which might not automatically happen with a medium risk missing from home.
All right. So in fairness to you, and we'll come on to some of them, but there were quite a few tasks that you did, and you've mentioned some of them, but you also checked systems, is that right?
Yes.
And so we should understand that although it's an assessment of medium risk, in no sense did you park this to deal with it later. You took immediate actions.
Yes.
From the radio logs, you don't need to have them on the screen. So for your note, Lanc 255 and Lanc 254, there were 2 radio calls, one I think at 12:35 lasting 23 seconds. I think that one was from Sergeant Clark. And then there was another one from you to Sergeant Clark at 12:38, which was longer, 5.5 minutes. Would one of those calls have been the discussion of the grading of risk?
Yes.
Is it likely to have been the 12:38, the longer call lasting 5.5 minutes?
Yes.
That was on a private call, effectively. I think what's referred to as point-to-point, is that right?
Yes.
Can you just explain so there's no misunderstanding about that? Why would that be made point-to-point on a private call?
As you've just said there, it was quite a long call. We wouldn't take up airtime with that in case there's an ongoing emergency or someone needs to shout up for urgent assistance. It's something that can be done in the background. One effect of that is not a criticism of you at all, but is that we are not able, I think, to have a transcript or recording of that. Do you recall what it was that you discussed within this exchange about risk with your sergeant? I can't recall exactly, but the normal process would be I would feed him the information I've been given from parents in this case, and he would either agree or have you thought about this, have you thought about that, and we would take it from there.
Now, would it have been open to you at later stages to change that assessment of risk?
It can be done.
If it were suggested that this assessment of risk was made too early in the process, was premature, what would you say about that?
I think at the time it was the correct decision. And to my knowledge as well, I think the duty inspector will review all missing from home logs and give their opinion on the risk grading.
And in light of the knowledge at this stage that this is a youth who has had a previous attack at a school involving a knife, and the knife is now missing, do you think that there might have been a case for this being right from the start graded as high risk, even though you think that wouldn't have made a difference to immediate actions?
I was going off the opinion that there was a reason for him going missing, i.e. he didn't want to meet his new teachers. And the incident at the range, I think, was about 2 years, just over 2 years prior at that point. So that's where the medium grading came from.
And at this stage, we'll come on to later on, but at this stage, would it be right to say that you didn't have any visibility of any records or intelligence information between 2019 and March 22? You didn't know of any other events that may have happened?
It came slightly later.
Thank you. I want to turn then to some of those early actions and start with the search of the home address. Can we look, please, first of all, in that regard, at paragraph 17 of your statement? It's our page 4, so Lanc 30273, page 4. You say there that as part of the initial actions, you conducted a search of the address, and you touched earlier on this, that this would be standard operational practice. Is that right?
Yes.
you set it out in your statement. You were looking for any obvious signs of preparation made by AR, or if there was anything else that would cause concern and affect the risk grading. What sort of thing do you have in mind there?
Anything such as a suicide note, a note where he might have been, any medication, not just necessarily his, that's been taken, any immediate medication he didn't have in his possession, simple things such as a bag, as he packed a bag, is this more prepared for than what we thought, that sort of thing.
We don't perhaps necessarily need to look it up, but later on in your statement, paragraph 73, the phrase you use, Constable, is, I also conducted a routine cursory search of AR's home address. Should we understand that this type of search of the home or the bedroom of a missing person, it is different in intensity from a search that you're carrying out in relation to criminality?
Yes, you would still open drawers and cupboards, but you wouldn't touch every single object as you might with another type of search.
You explained that you recall searching AR's bedroom and the front living room, is that right?
Yes.
Took, I think, 15 to 20 minutes?
Yes, that's about right.
You've mentioned the doors and drawers that you would open. Would you have done a search of under AR's bed?
It would have been a very quick search at most. It would have been a look under the bed.
Thank you. The words you use there in your answer is, it would have been a very quick search at most. Should we just understand, again, what I'm looking for here is the best evidence that you can give factually. So if you can't remember, please say so. As you're sitting there now, can you remember one way or the other whether you looked under the bed?
No.
Would it be your usual practice to look under a teenager's bed in a search of this kind for a missing person?
No.
Thank you. There is evidence, as I'm sure you're now aware, that by this time, AR had purchased things like chemistry equipment, conical flasks, safety goggles, chemical grade alcohol. And in relation to those items, if you had seen items like that, would that have been something that you would have noticed, do you think?
Yes, absolutely.
And would have caused concern?
Yes.
Later, after the dreadful attack, was found under AR's bed in effectively Tupperware-type container, a crude preparation of the toxin ricin. And we know that AR had packaging of castor bean seeds, but the Latin name would have included ricin. If you had come across castor bean seeds labelled as ricin, packaging referring to that, again, may sound obvious, but is that something you think you would have noticed and been concerned about?
Yes.
Castor bean seeds, if they were just that as opposed to any reference to ricin, would you have known what they were?
No.
But again, it's perhaps a very obvious point, but the Latin or the English ricin on packaging, that would have rung alarm bells.
Yes.
And should we take it from your evidence that you don't recall seeing any items of that kind, the chemical equipment or the ricin seeds?
No.
There is some evidence that at this stage, it's quite early in the chronology of AR's purchase of weapons, but there is some evidence that he'd been trying to order arrows and a bow, but there's also some evidence that he may have got a refund. Would archery arrows, and I don't mean toy ones, serious-looking arrows and a bow, not a crossbow, but a bow, If those had been present and you had seen them, would you have noticed and been concerned?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we can take it, therefore, that wherever it was you looked, if they were present, you didn't see those.
No.
If you had seen those, and I appreciate that it's a hypothetical, how would it have changed your approach?
I'd have called the sergeant for the device at that point.
Electronic devices, do you remember seeing any electronic devices in AR's bedroom or the living room?
I remember a gaming console, that's it.
Would it be standard practice? Do you even have the powers at this stage for a missing from home report to examine electrical devices?
Nothing formal.
Would you therefore have done anything in relation to any kit, laptops, and similar that may have been around?
No.
And when you say no, do you mean no, and I don't think I would have been expected to?
No, I don't think I would have done, no.
And at this stage, other than the report that he may be carrying a knife, principally at this stage, this is a missing person inquiry rather than an investigation into criminality. Would that be fair?
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on then next, if we may, PC Fairclough, to some of the other initial inquiries. Having completed inquiries at the house, what did you do next?
The first thing I think I'd done was the CCTV cameras that I mentioned earlier. I recall calling the Range High School because I've been given the information and informed them that he was missing and he was potentially in possession of a knife. I think I called local...
I'm just going to pause you there at the Range High School. We just have a look at Lanc 4031. This is, you said it makes repeat entries, so it's not one long entry, but this is another aspect of your pocket notebook entry, and Vicky Ashworth, Range High School. Would that be the person that you've contacted?
Yes.
Thank you. And recognising steps that you did take, you've been told that this was the school for the previous attack, and pretty swiftly you have made direct contact with that school. Would that be fair?
Yes.
Thank you. So sorry, I'd interrupted you, but you had dealt with the CCTV and the Range High School.
Yes.
Did you also make some checks with taxi companies?
Yes, it was to try and narrow down that time range that we'd had there been any calls to the home address that morning, and did a mail matching AR's description, jump in that taxi.
Could we have a look at Lanc 4029, please? Of some interest to the inquiry, can you help us with it? The entry is negative one call taxis. What's one call taxis?
One call taxis is the company I called up. Negative is just saying that there's been no calls to the address that morning.
Thank you. And we know that that is the taxi company that was involved later in taking AR in his attack on the Hart space. Was there any reason for you calling them? Are they just the biggest local provider?
I'm not great with the locality myself, but I probably would have just Googled the local taxi company, and that's appeared first.
That's what comes up as
Yeah.
the local taxi company. Is that there's nothing more to it than that?
No.
It wasn't anything that you got from AR's parents
No.
to a taxi company?
No.
And were they helpful? Were they prepared to say when you did you identify yourself as a police officer?
I did.
And did they comply with your request? Did they say whether or not they had taken a booking for that address?
I've put negative, I can't recall in person, but I have put negative in me pocket notebook entries. That to me says, no, they've had no calls that day.
Yeah. If they had refused to answer the query,
Yes.
and just so that you understand, PC Fairclough, why I'm asking this, one of the issues that we're looking at is what duties there should be on taxi companies to answer questions from teachers, police officers, parents about bookings made by teenagers. But if One Call Taxis had refused to answer your question, presumably you would have written more than negative.
Yes.
You would have said they're refusing to answer.
Yes.
Thank you. You tell us in paragraph 20 that you also made checks with hospitals to see if AR was there.
Yes, that's just a routine check we would do with every missing from home.
You took the perhaps obvious but no doubt appropriate step of calling AR's mobile, which I think was running straight through to voicemail.
Yes.
What about Pressfield School? What can you remember in relation to that?
Only that I've been told by his mother that that was the new school he was due to attend shortly.
If we look at blank 4 zeros and 30, with apologies for jumping around, but they are separate entries. But that's another pocket notebook entry you made. But again, I don't raise this critically, not terribly informative because it just says Pressfield. But do you think you would have actually called that school?
I don't recall calling them.
So that's more an entry, is it, that you were noting that that was where he was meant to attend?
Yes.
And you've mentioned the CCTV. You've set out in your statement, paragraph 19, we don't need to have it up. You'd noticed some council CCTV. You'd asked for inquiries to be carried out. Do you know, did they in fact ever return any results, or was AR found before it became necessary?
I can't recall any results. They did have a lot of footage to go back. I think they had 3 hours of footage to play back.
All right. So those are queries and inquiries that you have made in relation principally to others. I want you to take us through, next please, PC Fairclough, what you did in relation to police systems. So we know that there's a later stage which we'll come on to when you go to a fuller terminal, I think, back at the station. But initially, you still... Is it in your car outside the address?
Yes, I'm still in the vicinity of the address.
You've got your Samsung device and you've got the Pronto software, is that right?
Yes.
To make these inquiries. So can you just take it stage by stage? First of all, the Samsung device that you had, so far as you can remember, was it functioning correctly that day?
I recall it going slow, but that's not unusual for the area we were in. The bank's area is known for quite poor signal. It just runs off a mobile phone signal.
Thank you. Other than in that area where there's poor signal, was it generally an effective system?
Yes, that was only the second or 2 instances I attended that day, so I think that might have been the first time I used my device. So I can't compare it to anywhere else, but on that day in particular, it was particularly slow.
What about taking a wider view day to day? Is it a system that's prone to...
Can be hit and miss.
All right. If we can look, please, at paragraph 66 of your statement on page 15. One of the things that you say there towards the bottom half of paragraph 66 is that in relation to a police national computer check on Pronto on the Samsung, you're only given a date range and offence category, such as offence against the person rather than any specific offence. Is that right?
Yes.
You're not given the summary of offending on Pronto PNC.
Yes.
So you do get the information, but it's at a higher level of summary. Is that right?
Yes. It lacks any detail.
Thank you. I think that you'll be aware that according to the records, we look at paragraph 63 of your statement, bottom of page 14. You've since been advised that there is no record of you doing a PNC check. But you say, however, to the best of my knowledge, I did check PNC as I was aware of an assault and possession of an offensive weapon by AR, which seemed to corroborate the account given by his mother. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I think you say in your statement, it's the next sentence, that there's reference in one of the radio transmissions to you having difficulties with your Samsung device. Would that be fair?
Yes.
So if I were to ask you the question, how confident are you that you did a PNC check on your Samsung device, what would the answer be?
Very high.
So what did the PNC check for AR actually tell you?
I can't recall seeing any warning markers, which it normally was. I recall seeing an offence against the person, and I think it was possession of a offensive weapon. And it tells you a date range on there. I can't recall the date range exactly, but it would say, for example, it would say between 2015 and 2020.
As wide as sort of 5 years, something like that?
Yeah, it can be very wide range.
Would you agree that when you're dealing with a child, knowing a bit more about the date might be important in assessing risk?
Yes.
Thank you. You tell us that having done the PNC check, it's paragraph 68 of your statement, page 16, blank 30273, page 16, that you didn't carry out a police national database search on AR. So first of all, is that right?
Yes.
It may be second nature to you, but what's the difference between a police national computer check and a police national database request?
So the national computer check was only show convictions, cautions, positive outcomes, if you like. The database check would show every time AR had been listed as a suspect on a crime. It could be any intelligence that another force was holding on him. And it was also have negative. It might be something where we couldn't prove it, but he's still been listed, as I say, on the crime report.
Is a police national database search something that can be done instantaneously, or does it take time?
No, it takes time.
At the time, March 2022, how long would it take, roughly speaking, for the results of that request to come through?
I would have said weeks, if not months.
The advantage of that, though, is that you would get, is this right, from all forces nationwide, not just convictions and cautions, but intelligence information.
Yes.
And here that would have included Merseyside,
Yes.
whose systems you would not have direct visibility of so far as any intelligence reports is concerned.
That's correct.
Again, putting hindsight to one side, for this type of event, a missing person, but one who may be carrying a knife, do you think that the attending police officer would be expected to make a request for interrogation of the police national database?
No.
Because?
It's all risk-based, it's audited, there has to be a risk to life, or so there's certain offences that we would do for immediately, and I think from the top of my head they are sexual offences. They are immediate risk to life, and the information I had at that time, he did not meet that criteria.
One of the things that we need to look at as an inquiry is the IT and the systems and the visibility of information. If you don't know the answer to this, please say so. But in your current role, do you have cause to make queries of the national database?
Yes.
What's the return time now?
I've not done one for a long time. It does fluctuate, but it's still days. It's days rather than you won't get it back the same day.
Should we understand that it's better, though, than it was in March 22?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. And then you have also checked Connect, is that right?
Yes.
And we've heard that that is the Lancashire system on which information would be retained, including intelligence reports
Yes.
and non-crime information of other kinds.
Yes.
And you can access that, can you, from the Samsung device?
Yes, it looks very different from the desktop, but you can access it.
So should we understand it's more user-friendly? Like a lot of things, it's more user-friendly on a full-size desktop than on a portable device, a phone.
Yes.
So that we understand it, are there any restrictions on the functionality of Connect on a phone? Are there things that you just cannot get on the mobile version through Pronto? Or can you get to everything, but it's just less user-friendly?
I'm not sure if this is the question you're alluding to, but you can't update certain things on the Pronto. So if I was, in terms of inquiries for AR, I couldn't update them from scene, which is why they were done later on the desktop. To my knowledge, everything should be accessible.
But we should bear in mind, should we, that certainly at this stage, it's not perhaps as user-friendly as instantaneously visible.
Yes.
Thank you. If we can look, please, at paragraphs 65 and 66 of your statement. If 65 and 60, that's excellent. Thank you, Sarah. That's very helpful. In these paragraphs, you accept, is this right, that your understanding at the time from the searches that you did was that the Range High School matters were one incident.
Yes.
So one attack involving the carrying of a knife. You didn't understand that in October 2019, there'd been a report that had come through from Childline involving AR having admitted to carrying a knife to school on some 10 separate occasions, leading to him being excluded. And then the separate incident in December 2019, in which he returned to the school with a hockey stick, used the hockey stick in an assault and had a knife. You just didn't understand that there are those two separate events.
No.
Do you accept now that with full interrogation of Connect, that is something which you could have understood from the information that was available?
Yes.
Thank you. Again, because we want to look at systems and how they work and what improvements might be made, can you help the learned chair to understand, given that that information was on Connect, why you didn't understand that fuller picture?
So I think on one of the incidents about the intention to use the knife, it was listed on an inquiry log rather than on the summary. So if I'm at the scene and I'm on my Samsung device, I will tend to look at the summary of what's happened. And then I think the second incident that we're talking about might have been recorded via an Intel entry. So that's I don't know where that's come from initially, but that's been recorded on Lanc systems as an Intel entry, not as an investigation.
So you were looking principally, is this right, at investigation reports?
Yes.
and if it came up as an inquiry log within an investigation report, you may not have spotted it?
Yes, it would be on a different tab. You've got to switch through the tabs to see it.
Okay. And certainly at this stage outside in your police response vehicle, you, is this right, wouldn't have been looking at intelligence reports, you were looking mainly at investigation reports?
Yes, you can see it. You can see it on the device, but I thought it was the same incident.
Thank you. If you had understood that there were two separate previous incidents back in 2019, separated by a few months, the first being 10 occasions of carrying a knife to school on his own admission, and then the hockey stick attack with a knife also being carried, would that have made a difference, do you think, to your assessment?
Yes, possibly.
Because?
There was a clear pattern there of behaviour where I've treated it as an isolated incident. There's a clear pattern of behaviour
there. And is that something in terms of your own practice that you have reflected on in terms of accepting yourself the importance of trying to amalgamate all of the information that's available on the systems?
Yes.
But should we understand from your evidence that with how the systems operated at the time, that involved a fair amount of moving around and checking tabs? It wasn't particularly user-friendly for you as an officer who clearly was making inquiries and looking at things and making reports. It wasn't entirely readily visible to you on the systems.
Yes.
And would this be right as well, that the most detailed information about the December 29 incident, because it was principally dealt with by Merseyside Police, wouldn't have been available on Connect at all?
I think it was put through as an intel entry, but because it's an intel entry, I can't see as a Lancs officer, I can't see the source of that information, I can't find further information out.
So you could have seen Lancashire intelligence, but if we were to look, for example, at MERP 002881, MERP 002881. You'll see, PC Fairclough, from the top of the page that this is the Criminal Justice Mental Health Liaison Diversion Custody Suite contact form. But we know that this was the liaison and diversion team assessment on AR, but in relation to the action being taken by Merseyside Police. So if we just then go down to the text, the main body of the main text, please. From this sort of information, what you can see is that AR was saying that this effectively was an attack where, about 5 lines down, he wasn't planning to use the knife, but states that he would have if the hockey stick didn't work. He'd wrapped the hockey stick handle in tissue paper to get a better grip. And then AR was asked if he was planning on killing the student, and he replied, "I did want to kill him, but I don't think I would. Ideally, I wish I did, but they were in assembly, so it wouldn't have happened." He is clear this was revenge. We explored his decision-making around going to school and so on. that report, I think, not available to you on the Lancashire systems?
No.
And seeing information of that kind, would that have really quite significantly altered your perception of what you were dealing with if you'd been aware of the full seriousness of the earlier event?
Yes, absolutely.
We know, I said that I would come on to intervening events, and we know that there had been 2 occasions in November 2021, so 4 months or so before your involvement, where police took calls from AR's parents in relation to his violence, in terms of him getting angry and throwing things, that the precise details for present purposes don't matter. Were you aware of those from the checks that you did?
Yes, they would have been on Connect as an investigation.
And my question was whether you were aware of them from the checks that you did, and you said they would have been on Connect as an investigation. Did you spot and notice them at the time?
Yes, but I didn't pay much attention to it. I didn't think. We go to lots of instances where children do what AR had done on that occasion. That is nothing out of the ordinary for a response officer.
How confident are you? I don't think, I'll be corrected if I'm wrong, and I'm happy to be corrected, but I don't think you've mentioned in your witness statement being aware of those. Are you sure you did notice them at the time?
I'm fairly confident.
Thank you. One of them was noted in the log as well. So the note for that, for your reference, is Lanc 45 of page 6, the entry for 11:32:53, but I don't think we need to have it on the screen. Would you have picked that up from the log, do you think, one of the November incidents?
Yes, I do read the logs fully before dealing with an instance.
Can I ask you next, in terms of your system checks, about Prevent? By this stage, AR had been referred to Prevent on 3 occasions, but effectively the referrals had been closed and he'd not been taken on by the next stage by what's called a channel panel. At this stage, just short of the end of your probationary period, what did you know about the Prevent process?
It was something that you could refer people into if they were showing signs of potentially becoming a terrorist.
And at the time, try, if you can, to think back to your knowledge and understanding as it was in March 22, potentially becoming a terrorist meaning what?
Showing some sort of ideology, whether there be political beliefs, religious beliefs, extremism.
Did you link it to a religious or political ideology, or did you understand it to be wider?
I linked it to political and religious.
So somebody who was extremely violent, potentially, interested in school shootings, but not through any political ideology or racism or religious ideology. Did you understand that somebody like that was potentially covered by Prevent?
No.
Do you understand that now?
Yes.
And at the time when you were dealing with AR, let's take it from when you've gone back to the car and you've looked at the systems, did you have any knowledge of the fact that AR had been referred to Prevent but hadn't been, in inverted commas, taken on by Prevent?
No.
Do you think that as the frontline officer dealing with this event at this stage, that was important information that should have been visible to you?
Yes.
Important for you to know?
Yes.
Do you feel that that information would have made a difference, even though the information, if you'd had the full picture, may have told you that he hadn't been taken on by Prevent, but there'd been 3 referrals? Do you feel that that information would have made a difference?
Yes, absolutely, because there's a bit of a gap on the Connect system with AR, I think, between 2019 and 2022, with the exception of the incident we spoke about before. To my knowledge, them referrals were within that time frame. It certainly would have demonstrated to me that he was still a high risk and he hadn't changed from the 2019 incidents.
Thank you. I think that you already covered really that you can access intelligence reports, or at least have a level of visibility of intelligence reports on Connect.
Yes.
If we can look, please, at Lanc 4064. And if that can be expanded just the top, please. Just to get your bearings on this, because this is not your document, but you see that it's a Lancashire Constabulary Intelligence Report, yes?
Yes.
And the date of it submitted on the 13th of December, but the event, the 11th of December. Do you see that there?
Yes.
So if we go down and look at the text of the report, please, towards the bottom of the page, the final third, please, Sarah. So AR has taken a pre-booked taxi from Acorn School in Ormskirk to the range, armed with an adapted hockey stick and a large knife in his bag in order to assault and injure a pupil at the range school. Subsequently assaulted a pupil before being stopped by staff and was arrested and interviewed, where he later admitted to assault, possession of the knife and hockey stick. So just pausing there, that would have given some more detail around the incident that you were aware of, yes?
Yes.
But it then also says that AR has been searching for school shootings in America, but denies searching inappropriate content on the school internet. Were you aware that AR had been searching for school shootings in America when you were dealing with him?
I can't recall that at the time.
If you had been told that, is that something which you likely would have noticed, taken note of and remembered?
Yes.
And so should we understand that it's likely that you weren't aware of that at the time?
Yes.
Thank you. If we go over the page, please. In the log of inquiries, and I'm asked to explore this with you, in the log of inquiries section, there is a log entry, bottom right, that says a Prevent referral has been received in CTB in relation to school shootings in America. So if you had looked up this document and not just read the substantive text, but read through the log entries, as it were, in the fine print at the bottom, the fact of a Prevent referral was there on Lancashire Systems. Would you agree?
It was there on Lancashire Systems. However, frontline officers cannot see that second page, so I would not see that.
Thank you. So you can't even see that second page?
No.
And even if you could, as a frontline officer, who's got to look up a number of systems and act on the scene and deal with matters relatively quickly, would you think that even if you could see that text, do you think that's a sufficient means of frontline officers being made aware of this kind of information?
No.
Thank you. So I'm just looking at the time, and I'm about to move on to my next topic. And as you know, this witness was always due to return tomorrow. I'm happy to carry on if you'd like, but I wonder if that might be a convenient moment.
Yes, it's inevitable we're not going to finish the officer's evidence
So,
this
yes.
afternoon. Yes. Then this is an entirely convenient time. We'll adjourn now and sit tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you.